Now, the question, Chair, is should we ask questions going forward emanating from a misunderstanding of what has been?
You wanted to clarify certain matters regarding the relationship that Mr. Nkabinde had with Minister Mkhwanazi. And the questions that you raised were not new questions. They were based on questions that were raised by the senior counsel. And that is why I say I agree with those questions. That is why I even came back to you to check if you were satisfied with the answers that were given. So it means if you may have questions later, you can still ask those clarity-seeking questions. Like Honorable Sangone had asked a question about procedural matters, which the senior counsel has clarified because it's a matter of procedure. But there are other two questions that she raised, which may be on the borderline. And that is why I agree with her when she says, for the sake of peace, let's continue. And I give a ruling because I don't want us to discuss the merits and the demerits of the questions. Where I stand, they are on the borderline. It may be very difficult if we may end up being polemical about them. So those questions are noted. They will be answered tomorrow. Is that fine, honorable members? Senior counsel? May we please proceed?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members. General Mkhwanazi, I was moving to the Minister's Directive of 31 December 2024. It is NSM 5, which is on page 78 and 79. General Mkhwanazi, we can take it as read.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and honorable chair and honorable members, this has been in the part of the bundle. So to save time, I'm not going to read it, and I'm not going to ask the witness. I just want to deal with your leave with the issues that arise from this letter. There are three: the freezing of posts in crime intelligence, the directive relating to the port of entry, and 3, the disbandment of PKTT. Any comment on why these 3 issues were packaged in this way?
Yeah, well, I'm not an author. The minister is the one who signed this. If I were to express my feeling about it, it was just strange that such strategic and very critical issues of the organization, never mind the fact that they're operational, but they're very critical, that a minister felt that it's important to send this communication in the form of a letter in this fashion, literally 2 days after the National Commissioner started his leave. And exactly almost 3 or 4 days after he parted ways with the National Commissioner, where he was with him in person in the funeral, and he never spoke about these things. So for such serious things to just be at that time of the year, be written like this, it makes one to ask questions as to why. I guess is that why question that led us here today?
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm asking you why would 3 such key issues that seems to, your comment, that seems to fit into this narrative of organized crime, intelligence, borders, for example, drugs and illicit goods move across the borders, and of course, the disbandment of the PKTT, which is going to be the focus of our attention. But just your comment, did this also raise suspicions on your part?
Yeah, when I saw it, immediately I said, but this is very strange. I just don't understand. I'm with the minister on a Saturday, together with the national commissioner, and we part ways, and they all say happy New Year to all of them. And on the second, then the letter comes through, and it's a letter that talks about decisions that have got serious consequences in the organization. Stop filling vacancies now. When did it become so urgent that you couldn't talk to the accounting officer when you were with him a few days back? Now, of course, when we started asking questions, because these, at the time, one did not know why these specific 3 areas. But as the time progresses, then we got to understand why. And it is that understanding of the why that ended up leading us into try and intervene in the manner that we did.
Okay. Now, you deal with it, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members, you deal with this decision from pages 810 through to 17, paragraphs 14 to 30. I'm not going to ask you to read through it. I'm going to ask you some pointed questions that arise from it. Sorry. Is it correct that the minister had not received a single briefing from those in charge of the PKTT prior to the 31st of December, and in particular yourself and Lieutenant General Khumalo?
Yeah, well, I know now after engaging both General Khumalo and the National Commissioner that they didn't brief him, but from my side, I knew that I had not briefed him to date.
And between July 2024, when Minister Mkhwanazi was appointed by the President as Minister of Police, and 31 December 2024, there hadn't been any of this interministerial committee meetings that you had earlier described and referred to?
No, definitely, there were no such meetings.
You also saw the minister on the 28th of December 2024. What was that occasion? And at that occasion was Mr. Nkabinde, Chief of Staff Nkabinde, with him?
Honorable Chair and members, I cannot remember whether Mr. Nkabinde was there, but I do remember that the minister in our last meeting that we had with him in December, he was a functionary at the funeral of a police officer that died at Escali in KZN, and the Minister of Police was a functionary in that official funeral that was held there. So I was with him there. I do not know much about Nkabinde. I cannot remember.
So we're going to talk about when you learned about this directive, because as you can see, it's addressed to the National Commissioner, General Masamolo, and let me see if it's copied to anyone else. No, it's just addressed to him. So you weren't aware of this letter. We'll get to when you... but since you learned of this letter subsequent to the 31st of December, were you disappointed that he never raised this issue at all with you on the 28th of December when you saw him at the funeral?
Yeah, Honorable Chair and members, as the SC indicates that on my statement, I indicate I speak a lot, I write a lot about the events of the 2nd of January 2025 when I first became aware of this letter. My initial response from the time I saw the letter was just shocked and surprised that how can Misa write such a serious letter that is going to have so much implications in the organization. And more concern is that I had already met the minister, and I wouldn't want the executive authority to do things that is against the law. And so I have a responsibility to bring to his attention. But at the time, I felt it is important to use a shortcut because I got to meet the minister before he became the Minister of Police through Mr. Nkabinde. I know Mr. Nkabinde is the office of the minister. He had asked me what Chiefs of Staff does. So upon seeing this letter, he was the first person I called, because I believe that there cannot be any document going to the minister for signature without his knowledge. So I called him and said, Nkabinde, the minister signed a letter that says the following. Are you aware of this letter? And his response was, yes, I am aware of the letter. But according to him, the letter was going back and forth by whoever between the minister, whoever was drafting the letter and the minister. That made me believe that the minister is not the author. Someone else prepared this letter for the minister. And the minister signed it. Because Nkabinde's response to me was, after the letter was signed, after it going back and forth, then he was pressured to make sure this letter is delivered at the office of the National Commission on the 31st. So, and hence the letter was delivered. So this was from his words that made me believe that there's someone somewhere who influences the minister to do this. I think they will give in the minister wrong advice. I wanted to correct that. That's why I felt it's important for me to plead with Mr. Nkabinde that, can you, Mr. Nkabinde, if you are coming down to KZN, you must arrange a meeting between myself, you, and the minister so we can sit down and talk about the implications of this. Because if the minister will have a letter like this that says we are disestablishing a team, there's consequences that's going to come as a result. And one of the consequences is that the minister might be seen to be defeating the ends of justice, because we're literally saying that the investigations that are currently underway must stop immediately. And that is going to have serious consequences of the minister. So I wouldn't want the minister to get to this, because I saw a risk that the minister is going to be held liable for this decision. So I wanted to address it with the minister and give him advice, using Nkabinde as a person that I know is close to the minister, and I got to see the minister for the first time through him. But unfortunately, it did not happen.
So just to summarize, is it Nkabinde who told you that the minister was in fact not the author of this letter? Is it Nkabinde who told you that there was seemingly an exchange of drafts going back and forth before the letter was finalized? Is it that caused you to conclude that there was third-party involvement, whether it's one or more persons, we don't know, and also that made you conclude that this is not the minister's handwork, it's a third party involved?
Yeah, well, it was his words when he said this letter has been going back and forth, but he did not say who is the author. When he said it's been going back and forth, being corrected, and after that, he was pressured to make sure the letter is submitted. From there, I concluded that someone else was behind this letter. And Nkabinde had to facilitate it to send it to the minister for signature.
Sorry, Honourable Chair, may my colleague be excused? We've got a 6 o'clock scheduled with...
No, I have sanctioned that, Senior Counsel. Honourable members, Maria has to leave us because they have to conclude engagements with General Sibia. Thank you so much, Senior Counsel. You can
Thank you, Chair and honourable members for the indulgence. You must have been shocked at this revelation by your good friend, Mr. Nkabinde. Given the importance of these matters, all three matters, border control, crime intelligence is huge. We know it's been at the heart of a lot of issues in our country for a number of years. These are all important, critical issues. Now you hear there's been a back and forth. The minister may not have drafted the letter himself. You suspect third-party involvement.
Yeah, no, it was indeed a concern, but I must say, Honorable Chair and members, on the day when I became aware of this, I couldn't blame Nkabinde on anything, because to me, he was honest to tell me that the letter was going back and forth, being corrected, and he was pressured to make sure that it's delivered at the Office of the National Commission. So I like to believe that, giving him a benefit of doubt, that on the day when this letter was drafted and subsequent to it being forwarded to the Office of the National Commissioner, he perhaps had no role to play with regard to the content of the letter, except to do the administration processes of it. The problem then came on the following day. When the following day, this letter, or the content of my engagement with him, appeared in the social media somewhere, that I threatened the Minister of Police with arrest and so forth, because I had said that if this is going to be implemented like this, the minister would be accused of crime, and that might end up bad towards the minister. So let's fix this. That was the exact same day when this letter was leaked. So unfortunately, the following day after talking to Mr. Nkabinde, the conversation between me and him was twisted somehow in the social media, but it landed in the social media. So then we had a conversation the following day where he said to me he believes his phone was somehow been tapped by someone was listening to our conversation and so forth. He did not share the conversation with anyone. So that's when I started asking myself questions about Nkabinde himself. Because I'm engaging with him the day before, and the following day, our conversation is on social media. It made me realize that perhaps he's the one that leaked it. Honorable Chair and members, I then am not going to talk much about what I became aware of most recently, that indeed Nkabinde was instructed to record me at the time. Instructed to record the conversation between me and him. So it means when I was talking to him, I was recording, and he would have shared that recording to someone. That's why that recording ended up in the social media the following day. But it was no mistake.
Can we just clarify this? You don't have copies of what was on social media?
No, I don't have it with me, but I can try and trace it. But there were a lot of, at the time, there were a lot of communication that was out there on the social media, but I can try and see if I can research, but I don't have anything with me here.
Yeah, because what I think we would also like to know is whether what appeared on social media, is it actually exactly the same as what was recorded in your conversation with him allegedly?
I can tell you, not all of it, but by and large, the conversation between me and him was there in the social media communication.
And forgive me if I'm offside, just tell me or ignore the question. But did I also understand that there's an allegation that you, when you spoke to Nkabinde, you had threatened the minister?
I was warning Nkabinde that if this letter, with its content the way it is not withdrawn, and the work of the police in terms of investigation come to a halt as is directed by this letter, this is going to have consequences towards the minister. Because the minister has got no jurisdiction in stopping a criminal investigation that is running. So this letter is literally saying that this team must stop with immediate effect. I'm not quoting verbatim, but he is basically, the task team be disestablished immediately. Those are the words. So if you are saying that, you are saying, if the case is in court, stop working. If the case and investigation stop working, just stop everything at once. That's the consequences this letter has. So I was warning Gabin that you better make sure that me, you, and the minister sit and talk about this. Because I don't know what is the circumstances that led into Mr. signing it, but the implication of the letter will land the minister in trouble. So it was there that the following day, which appeared on social media as if I threatened the minister when I was communicating with Mr. Gabin.
So did you see either the whole or part of your discussion on social media yourself, or was this reported to you by someone that what is this that appeared on social media and you then saw it?
Yeah, well, I saw the communication. I cannot remember how it came to me, but I saw that communication of what was out there that was spread.
So did you speak to Nkabinde either on the 3rd after this appeared on social media or afterwards?
Yeah, we've been talking. Afterwards, we've been talking up until most recently. I think after my press briefing, then we pass each other now. We don't talk to each other.
But what has come from your discussions or talks with him? He appears certainly, with respect from what you're telling this honourable committee and us, that he seems to be a central figure in all of this.
In all of what?
Well, the letter, and you say that he knew there was a toing and froing of the letter. He also told you that he was pressured into getting the letter out on the 31st of December, is on New Year's Eve, which in itself sounds, I don't think one needs evidence on this. It sounds really odd that on New Year's Eve, such an important document is released. So I'm asking about his central role in this, his appointment as Chief of Staff, when according to you, he's not even qualified for this role, doesn't have the qualifications. I must confess, I don't know what the qualifications might be, but I suppose we can look that up on the public service regulations, what it entails. But it sounds to me that he wasn't quite qualified for the job. So that's why I'm asking you to comment on that proposition, that he seems to be quite a key figure in all of this.
Honourable Chair and honourable members, it sometimes can be dangerous to express your opinion about something that you don't have facts on. Since the S is asking me my impression I have is that Mr. Nkabinde was recruited or was appointed by the Minister Chief of Staff, and he had no clue about what Chief of Staff does. So he had to adjust in the office. He had to learn as he was going. That's why I know that the other former Chief of Staff at the office of the Minister can come here and testify that he also phoned him and seek advice as to what does Chief of Staff do. And he also had to coach him about what Chief of Staffs are doing. And so he had to adjust as you learn as he was going. And I think that's why even he started learning politics, because he was never a politician. So I see him today with T-shirts of political parties, which I don't think he even understands what it takes to be a politician. So he adjusted as he was going along to please his boss.
Learning on the job.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I'm curious about, and what I think many of us here would be curious about, is you continue to engage with Nkabinde, despite clear shortcomings that he has in that post, despite the critical role he plays in that post. A Chief of Staff presumably is very close to, that's why you appoint someone Chief of Staff.
Honourable Chair and all members, these things are happening. The letter comes out, I speak to Chief of Staff, and after that he said he tried to secure a meeting with the Minister, is not able to, and next thing he says to me, no, he did not release the information that I was talking to him about. Perhaps someone tapped his phone or something like that. So I had no reason not to believe what he was telling me. So all the time, even when we meet in meetings, because the person I know, so we'll engage. As the time went by in this first 6 months of the year, I started gaining more information about his role that he plays in some of the meetings, how vocal he becomes in some of the meetings, and which was strange to me but he's got no role there. How does he become this vocal? So slowly then I started monitoring his social media and then WhatsApp status. Then I started realizing he's no longer the man that I knew he was, because, as I say, he's now a politician. He talks about politics and he displays T-shirts of political parties, rallies and all those things, which is now away from what the chief of staff is supposed to do. And that's when I started realizing that maybe is what I'm hearing about his involvement, about interfering on police work, might be true as the time progresses. Until such time that eventually we started picking up other evidence. I think when I went public on the 6th of July, the lines were drawn between me and him. So we never really engaged after that.
I think you've answered the question that initially you were reluctant to answer. You don't want to express an opinion on Gabinde.
No, I said it's sometimes it's wrong to express an opinion without facts. But since you asked me the question, and I felt maybe I can express opinion because this is my observation. So I'm qualifying it like then, it's my observation. But I'm sure those from the political party that he markets the lot, they might want to go and check when did he join them and when did he become a member for him to be that active.
So there are interactions between you and him after the 3rd of January leading up to the 6th of July.
We've been talking together up until the press briefing happened. We've been talking. We stopped communicating after the press briefing.
Well, did he say anything further about the letter? Did he say anything further about any of the 3 aspects in the letter, especially the disestablishment? I think that's the word that was used, the disestablishment of the PTKT. Did he say anything about it?
Honorable Chair members, there's been a lot of engagement between me and him in between. There will be conferences, summits, there and there, meetings, BOC. So we come across. There will be gatherings, the minister is there, he comes with, he's part of the staff, so we talk. That's why you'll see later when I talk about on my statement about the Mr. Mkhwanazi that phoned me in October last year. I phoned Gabinde to ask Gabinde, so he told me about who Mkhwanazi was. I didn't know Mkhwanazi, it's him that told me about Mkhwanazi. So there's been a lot of conversation between me and him. And the last, I think, heart-to-heart talk we had with him, we had at Beachwood Hotel in Johannesburg, and he accompanied me into the car. When they were, I think the tensions were growing already in terms of after this letter, as the team was trying to figure out and the team working out and what they were picking up. And I had an engagement with him there when he said, hey, I don't know anything about what's happening. And I said to him, boss, truth always comes out. So whatever that is happening right now, it's going to come out. So you better be on the right side of the law. I hope you're not going to get caught on the wrong side. That was my conversation with him in Beachwood Hotel. So that was a heart-to-heart talk. Other than that, we'll just meet and greet, hey, how's it? We just talk on the G. And we end there.
And you mentioned that did he appear to know Mkhwanazi well?
No. At that time when I phoned him about a person who had contacted me as Bran Mkhwanazi, he's the one who told me that no, he's a person who's very close with the minister, but he said he's not working for the department. He's not employed in the ministry, but he's close to the minister.
So he's the person who told you that Mkhwanazi is very close. Is that did you?
Yeah,
very close to
that was his word. That's why I even asked him to give me that Mkhwanazi's number, and he sent me the Mkhwanazi's number to confirm that it's the same person you're talking about.
And is that also, although we were still going to come to it, is that also
Senior Counsel? Yeah, closer.
Oh, am I? Sorry, Honourable Chair. Sorry, members. Is that also why you alleged on the 6th of, the 5th of March, when there was an appearance before it was online, the appearance before the police committee of Parliament of Mr. Cameron, when you alleged that Mkhwanazi was an associate of the minister.
Yeah, that's correct. I was quoting on what I learned from Mr. Nkabinde.
So you got that from Kabinde.
That's correct.
Did you have any engagement with the minister after the 2nd of January? Did you contact him? Did you phone him? Did you write to him? Did you go to his office to ask him to explain why he issued this directive?
My main concern, Honorable Chair and members, the engagement I will be having with the minister was always work-related, in meetings and so forth, but not specific about the letter. I tried with Nkabinde to meet with the minister so we can talk about the letter, and it did not happen. I tried with the National Commissioner to ask him to secure with a meeting with the minister so we can talk about the letter, and it didn't happen. Until I had to ask the honorable member, Mr. Cameron, to invite me to come to this committee, portfolio committee, so that we can be able to address some of these issues that I'm seeing happening. And yes, we arrived and we spoke about it, but the minister just put a cold shoulder on it. He didn't take it serious. He simply says, no, well, the person that Mkhwanazi is talking about, I don't know the person. So it just ended like that. So those are my efforts. I had actually, even before coming to the portfolio committee, if I'm not mistaken, no, after, I sent the minister WhatsApp directly, where then I was pleading with him that, Minister, can we meet? And it was, I must say, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, the WhatsApp, I think I will have shared it in my statement.
Yeah, the WhatsApp, General, is NSM6. Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, NSM6 at pages 80 and 81 of the annexures bundle. Which one?
That's correct. Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, this was my effort to try and reach out to the minister as I was observing what was happening up until April. Then I realized that it looks like everyone is failing to secure a meeting with the minister. Let me try on my own.
Can I please? I think this is important. This is a WhatsApp sent to the minister on the 5th of April. Can you have you got it there, General?
Yes, I may.
Can you read it into the record?
Sawubona Minister, that's a Zulu greeting. Please forgive. Yeah, my bad writing there. Please forgive for writing this message directly, but I feel that I must respectfully request a meeting in order to deal with internal issues within our organization which affects me and my family and has a potential of destabilizing our crime-fighting efforts. I tried to reach out through Nkabinde in his private capacity early in January this year. And late, I spoke to him in his capacity as Chief of Staff. And again, I had a special request to the National Commissioner to try and secure the meeting before appearance before the Portfolio Committee on Police. This situation is escalating and it has a potential of demoralizing our hardworking members. And there are even politicians that are using these social media posts to sow divisions within the SCPS. I do not like what's happening. Hence, I feel that the minister must call us into a meeting so that we can iron out everything that is dominating the media space. I do not like what's happening. Hence, I feel that the minister must call us into a meeting so that we can iron out, I think that's a repeat of the previous page, iron out what is dominating, everything that is dominating the media space. It is my plea that the minister calls the National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Sbiya, Lieutenant General Khumalo, myself, Major General Khan, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi in order to get to the bottom of the problem. It is the prerogative of the minister to invite the executive director of IPIT if he feels it's necessary. I have requested to take a vacation leave tomorrow and Friday, but I can make time if the minister decides to meet this week. I hope my request will be favorable. And the response from the minister reads, your WhatsApp message was received, will revert at some point.
Did he ever revert at any point?
Not at all. To date, I'm still waiting for the minister to revert to me. In actual fact, Honorable Chair members, there was a meeting that the minister had called between myself and Gerald Sibiya in his residence in Pretoria. And in that meeting, he acknowledged that he owes me for this meeting. He said, I know that I'm supposed to meet with you as per your request, but today I did not invite you for that. I invited you for another meeting. So that was the closest ever he addressed this.
And what was the date of that meeting?
Honorable Chair, I cannot remember exactly the date of the meeting. I don't know if I have it on my statement, but it's a meeting that we held in Pretoria. I cannot remember the date. I'll be lying. Should be in May somewhere, but if I'm not mistaken.
So in relation to the disestablishment of the PKTT, your evidence is that the minister never consulted with you, let alone contacted you or Lieutenant General Khumalo before his decision to disestablish the PKTT on 31 December 2024. And neither did he meet with you, discuss with you, let alone consult you on his decision even after the 31st of December 2024. Does that summarize your evidence?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Honorable Chair and members, that in as far as I am concerned, the minister never engaged me. But I've learned later, at the beginning of this year, that there were engagements that the minister, had with both the National Commissioner and Gerald Khumalo. But I was not invited into those meetings. The last one being the 6th of March, immediately a day after the appearance at the Portfolio Committee. They had a meeting which I was not invited. And I think there was subsequent a meeting after that, which was the last meeting I'm told that they had.
Yeah, there was a meeting on the 5th of March, the 6th of March, 27th of March. You were not invited to any of those meetings.
On the 5th of March was a Portfolio Committee.
Sorry, the 5th, you were here.
Yeah.
Well, it was an online meeting, but you were in that meeting.
That's correct.
But we can go to the transcript of that meeting, but I stand corrected, but in that meeting, when Lieutenant General Khumalo makes a presentation to the police committee, he talks there about the PKTT being sort of phased out and being in a state of transition. In his presentation, there's no objection to the minister's directive of the 31st. He reports to the committee on the state of the PKTT, that it was still in operation, but it was now being, I think the words he may have used was now being phased out. Do you recall that? You were online in the meeting.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. I was part of the meeting, and the meeting was a visual meeting, and I do remember that presentation. Well, it was a shock to me, but I couldn't challenge it because I believe that the National Commission authorized the presentation to be made, which means that was an approach the National Commission wanted to take. Being an accountable person in terms of policing, I couldn't question him if that's what he really wanted to do.
And there was also then a meeting on the very next day, on the 6th of March. There's a presentation that's made on the PKTT, again by Lieutenant General Khumalo, the minister, and I think the senior management were in that meeting, to the same effect. a bit more detail is given, but to the same effect, the PKTT is being phased out. Now that you were obviously told about this, I'm not sure about the evidence leaders in the commission, but we told you about it. We showed you yeah, I think they did, because the presentation is part of the record. Were you surprised to hear that?
Honorable Chair and honorable members, the meeting of the 6th, I was not informed about it. And the subsequent meeting that happened later in March, I was not told about it. The only first time I got to learn about those meetings is upon learning that the case dockets that are in KZN have been moved to Pretoria. Even the movement of those dockets, I was not told. Until General Sentumule was at the head office, phoned me and tell me that you want to bring dockets to me. And then I asked, what dockets are you talking about? He said, no, the dockets from the team. I said, but where are they? She said, they're in Pretoria. I said, but how did they get there? Because they're supposed to be in KZN. What are they doing in Pretoria? How did you get them there? So the same way you took them, maybe you must bring them the same way, because I don't know anything about it. But then I called the members from the team to come and brief me about the status of the investigation. That's when officially they confirmed that 121 of those dockets were sent to Pretoria. But when they were taken, I was not told.
Now, you weren't told, but in what capacity did you expect to be told, or even to be asked for your permission to move those dockets from KZN to head office in Pretoria? Is it in your capacity as the Provincial Commissioner of KZN, or is it in your capacity as the person still leading the PKTT, in charge of this team?
For two reasons, but the main one is that the dockets belong to KZN. All those case dockets that belong in KZN, they are accounted for in KZN. When we appear before the Portfolio Committee on Police, we have to account about the performance of detectives, we account on every docket that is registered in the province. So for someone to decide to take the dockets and travel over 700 kilometers to Pretoria without telling me was problematic already. And so I needed to be told because of that. I'm the accounting office in the province. You can't remove something out of the province without telling me. That's the first thing. The second part, I'm part of this project. Yes, it's a national project running in KZN, but I'm part of it. So the least I must be engaged as to why there's this decision. The similar engagement that was made with me when there was a request of assigning 10 of the members from this team to go and assist in Gauteng. And the similar engagement to say that some of these members must go and assist in the Eastern Cape. So that engagement was already there, precedents created. So why now, when the dockets are taken away, that I'm not engaged? And even the meetings that are taking place, I'm not invited to be part of those meetings.
Now, what if General Sabia comes before this committee and says, but he is the Deputy National Commissioner. He is in charge of detectives, and that he was authorized to issue a directive, even an instruction, to the detectives dealing with those 121 cases to bring them to head office in Pretoria.
Honorable Chair and members, there's only one person in charge of the police in South Africa. That's a National Commissioner of Police. He's the most powerful person in the country. And he delegates his responsibility to different levels. There's delegation letter that is signed that says you can do A to Z. So if the National Commissioner have delegated that responsibility to General Sabia, then I will not argue. But the problem that we then going to have is that if the National Commission is going to delegate something that is in conflict with the legislation, then there's going to be a problem. So if Sibia were to come and argue that the dockets belong to him, or he was told by the National Commission to do that, well, that means the National Commission must come into this portfolio committee and confirm whether did he or did he not. But as far as I'm concerned, we are governed by the legislation, that the members that are before me are responsible for passing. And when they pass this legislation, they expect me and the men in blue to enforce those legislation. So if anyone then violates the legislation, we have to act as directed by these members, that anyone who breaks this law must be punished in this fashion. That's what we do. So if Jaras were to come and argue differently to what the legislation is saying, it will mean it will have been admitting that he's breaking the law. I'll hope that when he comes here and he says that, the members are going to call him into task, because it means as a law enforcer, he does not know the very same law he's supposed to enforce.
We also know that, or let me put it this way, sorry. Is it correct that in or around May 2025, there was an attempt to return the dockets to you, and that you refused? And if that is a correct statement, that you refused, why did you refuse?
Honorable Chair and members, I've said this thing a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to repeat again, and I'm going to use an example. As somebody walks into your house, and it's Mr. Arendt's premises, you pay rates and taxes in that house, you are a boss of that house. And somebody comes to your house and remove an item from your house and travel kilometers away, and later calls you, and he says he wants to bring something that you took away from your house. Definitely going to be shocked as to what are you talking about? What did you take and how did you take it? Who authorized you to take it? So, and that's why my response to Jara Sentumule, who's a divisional commissioner of detectives, when she called me saying that there are dockets that are in Pretoria that must come back to KZN, the question I asked, but what are they doing in Pretoria? How did they get there? Because nobody told me that there are dockets taken away. So she then withdrew and said, oh, I thought you knew. Now that you don't know, I don't want to get involved myself. And then she pulled back. She never traveled from Pretoria to my office and said, Mkhwanazi, here are the dockets, and I declined to take them. She called me while she was in Pretoria. Well, I assume she was in Pretoria. I don't know where she was. But she called me. She was not in KZN.
Is that Sentumile?
Jara Sentumule, yeah. She will come here and confirm that because she called. But I subsequently, Honorable Chair members, learned that she calls me because her junior members have contacted my members in the province. And they approached them to say, we want to come and give these dockets. And my junior officers in the province said, no, we don't want to. And those that are not even part of the PKTT, those that are working in the provincial office, they said, what are you talking about? The dockets of the PKTT, we don't want to get involved with that. Talk to the provincial commissioner. We don't know anything about what PKTT does. And those junior members of hers, I think, then they went back to her and said, hey, you better phone Mkhwanazi because we're not going to call him about this thing. That's when she phoned me. So when I responded, the man I responded, she distanced herself as well. She said, I don't want to get involved myself. I thought you knew. So she pulled back. That's why those dockets remained in Pretoria for the period.
And she told you the dockets were transported to Pretoria?
No, she didn't. We didn't talk about the transportation. She just simply said the dockets are here. When I asked her, how did they get there? She said, but don't you know about the dockets are here? I said, I don't know anything. She said, hey, I don't want to get involved. And she pulled back. So she did not explain how the dockets arrived in Pretoria herself. But later, I learned that she was not responsible for moving the dockets. She only went to General Khumalo's office to collect the dockets in Pretoria. It is Khumalo who moved the dockets from Durban to Pretoria. It was by instruction of General Khumalo to move the docket, not General Sentumule. And
Khumalo never told you all this?
He never told me. I was furious with him.
I was going to ask you now.
Yeah, I was furious with him. He simply said, there's just too much things happening. And so there was this instruction and he decided to comply with it because I think they were just attacking him left and right. Remember, he at the time he had, I would say, three things that he was responsible for. One is to try and get rid of these bad members that we have at Crime Intelligence, that they were there in 2011 when he was there, that are still there, that are friends to some of the members that are here, that is trying to clean up. They are fighting, they are countering that on one side. On the other side, he's trying to deal with this organized crime that is identified in Gauteng province, that involves these famous people that we see on TV every day. And it's a serious job that he's busy with. While trying to fix this, he has the political task team also in KZN that he must worry about, because he's still coordinating the work that the team is doing. And the team doesn't end with the politicians' matters. It involves the traditional leadership matters. You have the issues of fortes and the likes. So he's one man. He's got too many things on his table.
That's what I asked you earlier. I said,
but I'm not the national commissioner. But he's assigned. He could have said, no, I can't do this. I can't do that. But he was doing all of them. But it was not a problem. So while he's busy with this thing, that this instruction come that he must take these dockets, and he just complied with that. So that's why when I started investigating, and he's one of the witnesses in my criminal investigation, to deposit a statement that says he was instructed by so and so to take the docket. So he's part of the criminal investigation that we're busy with, and I do hope that pretty soon we might be in court.
so in which circumstances and when did you tell Khumalo that he was going to be arrested?
I told him a day before. I told him he was here before the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. When I received that information that he's going to be arrested, they're going to arrest him at the airport, and they are going to come with social media. They're going to make it look bad. And what is the arrest all about? He was here when I told him. And the fact that they were going to arrest him at the airport because based on the counterintelligence operation, if I may say to the members, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, Chair, honorable members, how much of that information the Child Khumalo can talk about in public, because it's quite a sensitive investigation. I can safely tell you, it's not crime intelligence operation alone. It's the entire intelligence of the country that are part of that operation, in such a manner that the National Defense Force is part of the security of Khumalo. That's how level is that operation. So the IDEC members knew that Khumalo is that protected. There's military people that are moving around him. They can't just grab him anyway. The only place he's going to be vulnerable is when he gets out of the airplane. So that's why they're going to wait for him there. So I told him, and that's exactly what they did. So when he boarded the flight here, he knew exactly they're going to pick him up at the airport. That's what they did.
Well, in my consultation with Advocate Johnson, the head of IDEC, she told me that the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo.
Can you please get...
Sorry. She told me that the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo had nothing to do with the political killings tasked him, and everything to do with an allegation of some irregular appointment in his office or something to that effect. And that his arrest, when he was stepped off the plane, everything was arranged with him. It was done, I don't know if you call an arrest a collegial event where at least they don't pull you and drag you, but they're just waiting for you and they're escorting you, and that apparently Lieutenant General Khumalo thanked him for the way in which he was treated, the way he was handled.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, I've said a lot when I appeared before Madlanga Commission. I've said a lot when I appeared before South Africans on the 6th of July, 2025. I'm here today at this hour talking about the same thing. And I'm going to confirm again to the honorable members that IDEC is divided into two. The very same institution that these members established in this house is divided into two. The section that I will refer to as a rogue section of IDEC is the one that effected an arrest on Khumalo. IDEC has got good men and women that are working there. Under the very same leader, Advocate Johnson, who are responsible for cases that are serious, that emanate from the state capture, amongst others. If IDEC is honest, if Advocate Johnson is honest, he's going to come here before this committee and take an oath and confirm what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is not a lie. I'll prove it. I want to invite these members to get a profile of the arresting officer of General Khumalo and the team, Mr. Padayache. Get his profile. You're going to know that Padayache is an ex-crime intelligence member who has never touched a case docket in his life. But IDEC employed him as the senior investigator responsible for the arrest of Khumalo. He's the one who's a boss in that case. This is a person who's now employed to work in an entity of government that is charged with the responsibility in terms of the Amendment Act of the NPA, that they must deal with serious and complex cases. Well, I don't know whether is it serious and complex case to arrest people for having sat in the panel, like you are sitting here, and you make recommendations to the higher structure that is going to appoint. You facilitate this process at a committee, you are taking it to Parliament. The Parliament will take it further. In the police, a committee that is arrested, it's a committee that Khumalo is part of. One of the charges is that Khumalo manipulated by forming the committee himself. It is before the court, honorable chair members, that Khumalo did not even recommend that panel. It is Gerald Matondo who signed a letter to the National Commissioner to recommend a panel where Khumalo was included as a member of the panel.
So General Mkhwanazi, you are aware, because I put it to you, but you're clearly now aware that is at least the reason given why he was arrested. It's this whole appointment
That's exactly
process. No, that's the reason that they give. Because I put it to you that Advocate Johnson had told me it had nothing to do with the political killing task team.
If I were to have an opportunity to sit where you are sitting, SC, and Advocate Johnson is sitting here, I'm given an opportunity to cross-question her. I'll prove it to this House that what she told you, if she did say that, it's a lie. The Khumalo's arrest is a project. It's a project to counter the criminal investigation in Gauteng. This letter of the minister, the close of the task team, it's a project that is aimed at stopping the criminal investigation in Gauteng. So why I'm demonstrating this to you is that here is a group of members from crime intelligence that are arrested for having sat in the panel. The portfolio committee chair and the members in the portfolio committee will tell you what is the process in the SAPS in terms of filling of vacancies. So you ask yourself whether did these ones do something different to the process? The process, if I were to tell the members that the head of HR in the police, on behalf of the National Commission, they will send you a letter. They will say, this post has been advertised. Make recommendation of the panel members that must be in the panel. You submit as an accounting officer the recommendations to the head office HR. Head office HR decide whether your submission and your recommendation they're in agreement with or not. It is that office that approves the panel, not the line function manager. I'm a provincial commissioner because of that. I don't approve a single panel of such levels of brigadiers. I deal with the ones junior. But allow me to explain, SC and honorable members, that the process is established in organization. So Khumalo and the team, it's a panel that is appointed by the National Commission of the Police. If Khumalo did wrong and the team did wrong in the panel, their recommendations goes to another moderating committee at the national office, at the National Commission's office. There are lieutenant generals that sits there, including head of legal service. they moderate the work that the junior committee will have done, and they agree with it. So if they agree with it, then they give it to the national commissioner, he appoints. So if IDEC arrests, they're supposed to have arrested all this chain. But because they're not interested with the others, they're interested with these ones. It was a quick win to get to them. IDEC, Honorable Chair and members, arrested the members of crime intelligence literally in the same month. I don't know how many weeks apart. The very same IDEC had a case of over 90 million rand of ESCOM, if I'm not mistaken. One of the members that are charged is a member of parliament in that case, Mr. Mlevi. IDEC summoned the people that they wanted to arrest to appear at the police station in the morning. They arrived at the police station in front of cameras wearing suits. They went to the police station. They made them to be charged, gave their fingers. From there, they drove to court. They appeared before the magistrate. The court granted them bail. They paid their bail. The same evening, they were at home with their families for 90 million rand. The same institution IDEC. How is it possible that they are going to wait for Khumalo at the airport for having been part of the panel to appoint someone who's going to earn a salary of R1 million per year? But they wait for that person at the airport and arrest that person. So what Advocate Johnson will come and explain, justify the two that happened under her watch, I will argue that the ones that were charging Brian Leaf and them, honorable members there, they were respecting them, despite the seriousness of the charge of 90 million rand. But the one of Khumalo, they were not respecting them because the project was not this promotion of this girl. The project is stopping that operation in Gauteng.
So,
In twofold, Chair. Stopping the operation in Gauteng and disrupting the reforms that have been introduced at crime intelligence.
so your evidence is, or you allege, that the arrest of Khumalo was to stop the operation in Gauteng. It wasn't
And the reforms that crime intelligence.
the reforms.
Yes.
So you don't have a problem with
It's coincidental, Chair, I'm sorry, members, that the very same husband of the very same head of IDEC works in the same crime intelligence. But you can continue.
So I don't hear you saying that the arrest of Khumalo had anything to do with the political killings task team.
Honorable Chair, I've said it before and I'm saying it again. The minister signs this letter on a short notice like this, and there's these discussions that are happening, and then realize, as we're putting these dots together, that the political killings task team was a missed target. They were under impression that it is the political task team that is investigating these cases in Pretoria, in Gauteng. But they were wrong. So they hit the wrong target.
Well, because the political task team, as we know, and you can confirm it, is still in existence and has been budgeted for until, I think, next year, May, March 2026.
That's correct.
So certainly the minister or Minister Mkhwanazi has not succeeded in stopping his work.
Honorable Chair and members, I said earlier, Minister Mkhwanazi, the one that I met when I was with Mr. Nkabinde in his own house, is not the one that drafted this letter. I can bet my mind on it. They made him sign something that he didn't know. Unfortunately, he never afforded me an opportunity to warn him about it. Had he done that, he would have realized what he's getting himself into.
Well, we also know, and of course, the National Commissioner will come here and also testify, and has testified in another forum. But we also know that there clearly was no objection to the directive given on the 31st of December. In fact, there appears to have been some acquiescence at the very least, because the directive was given and On the 5th of March, here in Parliament, the project leader of that team makes a presentation and talks about a winding down or winding up, if you call it, of this team. It's repeated in a presentation the next day in front of the minister on the 6th of March. And then again on the 27th, we know from General Masimola, and I can tell you this because that's what he said under oath, there were some disagreements with the minister, but it certainly didn't, because the minister appeared still to insist that it must be immediate. But nevertheless, the plan was a phasing out of this team. So from what we gather, the minister didn't, he certainly never got his way about what this letter said, the immediate disestablishment of the PT, despite Khumalo's arrest.
Yeah, no, that's correct. Honorable Chair, the minister obviously did not get his way around this, but I must indicate that what you're saying, is correct. From what I heard when the National Commission appeared before the Madlanga Commission, that and actually before that, I got to hear that there were meetings that had taken place on the 6th of March, and subsequent to that, another meeting later, where they were making these proposals, which I had seen when they were presenting. I was upset, I must say that. Although I could not challenge it, because if it's a National Commission takes a decision, let's disagree with this. Who am I? I account to the National Commission. National Commission is a trained police officer. So if it breaks the law, knowing he's breaking the law, it means he has to account for it on his own, at his own platform. But in this case, I was making noise because for me, there was a directive to shut down a unit working in my province, and nobody talks to me about it. So I kept on asking the National Commission, did you authorize this thing? And he said, no, he never did. But as a policeman, I couldn't take his words. I wanted under oath, on paper, in black and white, to say that. He gave that to me, but seeing on the 4th, if I'm not mistaken, Honorable Chair, members, in a statement under oath, where he said he never authorized Jared Spear to take these dockets to Pretoria. He never authorized this and that and that and that. From there, then I knew that I've got a criminal case going.
That was on the 4th of July.
That was before my press briefing.
Sorry, General?
It was before my press briefing. I already had a National Commission
on the 4th of July.
affidavit under oath that says he did not authorize this thing.
And we have that affidavit?
So that is in a criminal case docket that you're talking about today. Because then all these people that played a role in shutting down my investigation, that which I warned about on the 2nd of July, is being investigated now. So I do hope that pretty soon we're going to effect arrest and we're going to be in court.
And what is the charge? They're defeating the ends of justice.
That's the main one. There's a collusion to defeat the ends of justice from the evidence that has been uncovered.
And that's based on an affidavit that's in the docket.
Yeah, because I needed to have a point of departure. National Commissioner, tell me, did you authorize this thing, yes or no? He says, I didn't. I said, write it down. There was a delay in him giving that. A delay. Eventually, he said to me, okay, here's it. So when he did that, then I knew that, okay, someone will have to then go to court and explain why this. So we started there with investigation. Statements of Khumalo, statement of Sentumule, all the people that played the part except CB and them. We did not take statement from them. The team is investigating further. The investigation is ongoing as we speak. I can't talk in details on it.
So who's conducting the investigation? Crime intelligence or?
No, it's the detectives in KZN.
The detectives?
There's a KZN docket. I'm not part of it. I'm a complainant. I gave my statement and I complained, and they started collating all these things and putting these pieces together. As a complainant, obviously, they update me. The DPP gave me an update about 2 weeks ago about the status of the investigation, and I'm quite pleased with how they are moving with the investigation. I guess it's going to be a landmark case that we're going to have in court.
Sounds like it.
It will be.
You were the complainant.
I am a complainant.
And you got the National Commissioner to depose to an affidavit. Your star witness.
Yeah.
I think running a bit late. That's why we're just trying to some levity. Sorry, the Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. So, just to rewind to early January, your erstwhile friend Gabinde tells you these things. But he's no longer your friend. On the 3rd, he even records your conversation with him. He places things on social media that gets you into trouble. When did you phone the National Commissioner about this directive, or did he phone you?
I did call him immediately after learning of this letter. I called him, he was on leave, and I asked him, I beg your pardon?
On the 2nd of January.
I can't remember exactly the date when I called him, but almost immediately after learning of the letter, I contacted him to ask him about this thing. He was surprised as well.
Apart from being surprised, did he say he's not going to do anything about it, or what did he say about it?
Yeah, well, he was going to attend to it when he's back from leave because he was still on leave, so he didn't want to engage on this much.
No, he went on leave. Sorry. The National Commissioner went on leave on the 30th of December 2024, and he returned to office, I think, on the 14th of January 2025. So in that period, there would have been an acting National Commissioner.
That is correct.
Who was that person?
Lieutenant General Musikidi. Lieutenant General Musikidi.
And I take it this is how these things work, that when you're acting in a position, you assume the same authority and powers of the person who's appointed in that position.
Yes. The National Commissioner will appoint a person, and that means he's delegated the responsibility of being a National Commissioner at the time.
Now, Lieutenant General Sabia will say that, and I think it's common cause that there was an email from the Office of the National Commissioner. There was an email which he says directed or instructed him to give effect to the minister's directive. Were you aware of that? Do you know about that?
Honorable Chair, honorable members, on the 6th of July, I addressed the nation about what was happening. Charles Bia was enjoying the holiday at Durban, July in Durban. And on the same day, he was on television where he made a lot of remarks, which I appreciated because he spoke without thinking. So I hope those what he had said today are going to be interrogated when he appears here. Because he started making allegations. That couple of weeks later, the National Commissioner was also on television where he denied that which RSB had said. So it's between them. They shouldn't have closed down the PKTT. I was not going to be bothered. But I was minding my business in KZN, and they closed the unit in the province. So that made me to start asking questions until I ended up knowing what's happening in Gauteng. If they didn't close the unit, I was not going to know what's happening in Gauteng. But thanks that they brought it to my attention.
Because you were told, you weren't aware of it at the time, because you were told, and you now know. Sabia writes letters to the heads of various sections. On the 17th of January, he writes another letter on the 4th of February, instructing the two divisions, I think, and And Kumalo, I think that is where he instructs Kumalo about those dockets. You weren't aware of those letters?
No, I was not aware initially, but through the investigation, the criminal investigation, and I became aware because they had to produce those. Kumalo had to produce a justification why he decided to take the dockets away from KZN.
Now, we know from the minister's letter that it's on page 79 of NSM 5. The minister says to the National Commissioner, I therefore direct, this is in the last paragraph, I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. Further, a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the minister by the 20th of January 2025. The final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. Now, you also know by now that the National Commissioner submitted a report, I think it was on the 22nd of January 2025. You're now aware of that?
Yeah, well, I became aware as the investigation unfolding and some of these things became a public knowledge, yes.
Yeah. And I speak under correction, but that report doesn't also take exception or make objection to the minister's directive to say, no, hold it. Can you tell me why I must abide or comply with this instruction? You're not authorized to issue such an instruction. This is an operational matter that falls within my domain. You're now crossing the line.
Yeah, well, Mkhwanazi is not the same as Masemola, so
Clearly.
how I respond to things, Jara Masemola might not do the same. So I guess maybe it will be an opportunity for the ad hoc committee to invite him to come and sit here and explain why he did what he did. But I cannot talk on those correspondences.
An interesting question, I must say, because I only thought of it now. Did General Masemola consult you or confer with you or Lieutenant General Kumalo before he submitted his report to the minister on the 22nd of January?
The only first time I got to learn that from the date of this letter, 31st of when on the 2nd, when I became aware, 2nd of January 2025, when I spoke to the National Commission asking him about this, and he was still on leave, up until we appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March, I did not know that there were meetings in between the period. The 2nd of January and 31st and the 5th of March. I'm not aware. Nobody told me there were meetings there. And nobody told me that there were meetings subsequent to that, the 6th of March and other meetings that took place. Nobody told me. I only became aware about these meetings after getting a sworn statement from the National Commission that is not part of the spending of the testing. So when I got that and then went back into the PKTT and say, I need statements on who told you to take the dockets away. So that value chain that started producing these things, that's when I became aware that there were even meetings that had met to propose this establishment in this fashion. So I was not part of it. So I never knew about it until such time that the investigations were starting.
So it sounds to me like before the 31st of December and the minister issues his directive, that the team must be disestablished. And after the 31st of December 2024, going into 25, you were also not engaged by the National Commissioner.
That is correct. The likelihood is that if the 6th of March reached an agreement and there was no follow-up meeting, that implementation plan was going to be signed off, sealed, and implemented. We wouldn't be here today. But there was a disagreement on the follow-up meeting from what I gather, which led into that proposal be thrown out. Which then I think subsequent to then, maybe the National Commission felt that it's important and to give me a statement. And then I started doing what I did. But prior to that, had the 6th of March meeting agreed and there was no follow-up meeting, perhaps we wouldn't be here today.
Sorry, General. So, when you ask General Masemola for an affidavit and he gives it to you on the 4th, is he aware that you are going to hold your media briefing on the 6th?
I told him after that I'm going to have a press briefing on the 6th, over the weekend. I didn't say it, I didn't give him the date. I said I'm going to have a press briefing over the weekend to talk about the work of the political clearance task team. Honorable Chair and members, maybe let me add, and I said earlier, well, although we are talking about some of the things that might not be in the statement, but you as SC is asking me questions about the meetings that were taking place in my absence and the posture maybe the National Commission had in handling the minister's directive. I was upset in January about the posture of the National Commission on this minister's directive. What makes me unhappy is because as a leader of the police, when you're a leader, you're a commander, it's your job to look after your members, their well-being. You provide them resources, you give them support on anything else so that they can go out there and face the bullet and be able to fight and defend and make you look good as a commander. So, but when it's time for them to be rewarded, as a good commander, you must reward them. If you promise to reward them, reward them. But if you promise to reward them and you turn around and you don't reward them, you lose respect from those members, you demoralize them. What had transpired last year was that when this team had briefed the president of the country at the protocol lounge in Durban at the airport, updating the president even about the work that they are doing in Eastern Cape, the president was complimentary of the members that they are doing a very good job. Subsequent to that, the National Commission had made some commitment that these members are going to be rewarded during the Excellence Awards that we're going to sit on the 26th of January, 2025 at the ICC in Durban. And the members went out to go and buy themselves nice clothes to look good so they can stand in front of their fellow colleagues to be rewarded, given good certificates for good performance and so forth. But on almost the eve of that Excellence Awards, because of this letter, then the minister did not want, I believe, the National Commission did not want to upset the minister, because the minister was going to be the functionary on the Excellence Award.
The minister was there and the National Commissioner was there.
On the Excellence Award.
That's at the awards day, is it 22nd or 28th of January?
The 26th of January.
26th.
So then suddenly, the members' nomination was withdrawn. The certification of these members was cancelled. On the eve of the event, they were told, you're not going to be rewarded anything. Honorable Chair and members, you see the performance of this team. It is, I think it's annexed here on my document about the work they've done. I've presented it on my statement right at the beginning, starting from NSM 1, and I think it runs all the way up until page 77 on this annex. The work of this team, but they got this reward from the South African Police Service.
You're showing
that's zero.
zero.
They were not recognized, as if they did nothing. But the members that were led by Jarosbia that went to investigate the massacre of Lusigisi, which happened last year, those members were rewarded, including Sibia himself. One case. These members who did all this, they didn't get a single cent. Not a certificate, a mere paper that is signed by the National Commission was withdrawn, cancelled. So when you see me appear before the media on the 27th and express what I was expressing on the 27th of January, it is because some of the things that had happened in the organization, we demoralized these members. These members have been asking themselves questions ever since, that what did we do wrong? Whose toe did we step on that made the management to look at us like this? So these are a group of members that you're talking about, Honorable Chair and members, that we needed to protect. So I've been fighting this thing on behalf of these members to try and ask questions. What is it that these members have done wrong? Because they're doing a good job in KZN. What is it that they did wrong? So it is that questioning of things that led me into uncovering other things. And I must say, as we are sitting here, Chair, and I've said it before and I'm repeating again, the rank levels in the police that are seen that I speak about are generals. We have brigadiers in the police. But the ones that are actually doing the job are constable and sergeants. 2 sergeants have shaken this country in Gauteng. 2 sergeants that are working in the Gauteng province have shaken this country. If it was not for their guts to go deeper into the criminality of the syndicate in Gauteng, we wouldn't be here today. The resilience of those 2 juniors that brought us here, they are the ones that caused Khumalo to be part of it and assist them. That Khumalo caused me from KZN to bring the team to Gauteng to help them. So we are having high-profile cases in court of the Katisos and the Mashalas and the likes. It is because of those 2 junior members that started it. So I want to repeat again. When the junior members are working and you get directives like these that comes from the executive authority, it makes the members to lose faith and lose hope, and that energy of fighting crime is taken away from them. So we have a responsibility as management to protect those juniors. If they put their lives in fire when they're dealing with criminals out there, we must also be willing to do the same as senior officers.
Now, there is a clip, and we can play it if it's requested, of you giving this interview on the awards day to the ENCA.
That's correct.
And in that clip, you express your, would it be fair to say, anger and deep disappointment about what's happening in the police, and of course that these members had not been given the awards which you say was well deserved?
Maybe anger was understatement. I was very unhappy. I'm not going to use the word that otherwise, if we're out of the house, I was going to use.
Yeah.
But I was very disappointed. I must say, very disappointed. That time there was no talks about the arrest of Khumalo and the team at Crime Intelligence at all. This is in January, and the members are treated like this, and the management is allowing it to happen. And fast forward, come June, there's an arrest. So obviously, in between a lot of things that are happening, we're picking up a lot of information that leads into the arrest. Then we start realizing that which was a problem at the beginning of the year is leading to this and is continuing to something else. So someone had to do something about it, because otherwise, yes, there's some very talkative experts out there who will say the police job is to not do politics. I'm not a politician. I've never signed, I've never joined a member of a political party. It's never been my dream to be a politician. Mine is a police officer. I'm a civil servant. And I'm charged with the responsibility to enforce the law.
Yes, Minister Bheki Cele, he told us he's got a lot of admiration, he's got high admiration for you. He said, you're a very good cop.
Yeah, well, it's good because the
You're not a
minister,
politician.
it's good because then the general will know that if there's a law broken, even if he breaks the law, I'll arrest him as well. That is my job. I don't have a responsibility in terms of, that's why I was surprised when I saw Mr. Nkabingo with t-shirts of political parties. Because I don't wear a t-shirt of a political parties. I even struggle to wear a t-shirt of a soccer club. Maybe Bafana will. I'm not that much involved. I know a lot of people within the political space, but it's not my space. And I don't dream of becoming a politician. There was an invitation on some of the members that I should join, but I'll gladly decline because that's not me. I was never like that. I'm just a South African, a civil servant. That's what I'm doing. I think people sometimes confuse a police officer that might become famous as we do and politician. You don't run a country by enforcing the law only. You run a country by looking at a variety of things, which I'm not an expert on. I know policing, nothing else. I don't write legislation, I enforce it. I might pick up things that are wrong in the legislation, but I don't draft it. The honorable members do that. So honorable chair members, what I was trying to indicate here is that in January, the letter is written by the minister. In January, the members are deprived of an opportunity to be given an award. Fast forward, in June, we have members arrested. And when you realize that you are trying everything to mitigate all what is happening, you're not winning. It becomes worse when the Gauteng team tells you, we have taken this case to court, to a prosecutor, to request a warrant of arrest against a famous criminal, and the warrant of arrest is signed by the prosecutor, and they go to a magistrate to go and sign off the warrant of arrest. Then, while the magistrate is about to sign, a call comes in from the prosecutor that says, bring back that file. I missed something there. The members go back to the prosecutor. The prosecutor takes this file. He says, no, you know what? I don't want to lose my job. I'm not signing this warrant of arrest anymore. Go to my boss and get that warrant signed. When you start hearing that coming from the members are sitting and they're wondering, okay, what do we do now? And they go to the high office of the prosecution, they're going to complain about it. And next thing, they get paraded as criminals. They get frustrated. Then you realize no matter how much you can investigate, you can't place it in court because the people that are supposed to help you to place it in court, they don't want to be part of it because they're afraid.
So that's your evidence on interference in the criminal prosecution.
Honorable chair members, there are a lot of things that are there. The records, voice recording, that cannot be made public because it's going to compromise serious security of the state. You will have heard at the Madlanga Commission, there are things that are going to be held in camera. I don't know if there is things that are going to be held in camera here because they are records.
But are these voice
There are records where people are talking, how they're controlling the system. This one is controlling that one, that one is controlling this one. This one is going to handle this thing in this fashion, done by the senior people within the security cluster. So once you hear that and you realize you are fighting a losing battle, what else do you do next? Arrest, yes, but you can't prosecute.
These recordings, are they authorized?
They are authorized.
Warrant,
Let me maybe clarify because there's this. Mkhwanazi says hey, Mkhwanazi should have brought a 205. That's an expert in policing that was denied by a political party to be a member recently. But he claims to be a member in policing, that he knows that for you to get this, you must have this. The act which these members have passed says, when you take Mkhwanazi's phone, you cannot download it without his authority. Ask him that, I have your phone, please open it, I want to see what is inside. I must grant you permission to do it. If I don't grant you permission, you can't download it. There's no 205 there. So if you grant me permission, then I download. So once I download, then I hear things. That is on one side. On the other side, there's intelligence. So intelligence, if they believe that they suspect the SCRNC is involved with this criminal activity, they apply to the judge to listen to your lines. And the judge grants them that. They're not going to come and tell you, now we are listening to your lines. We are now monitoring your movement. They're going to collect information. Unfortunately, that intelligence structure are not going to come to court and say, this is how we extracted the information. They're going to infiltrate and discover and give it to the investigation team. The investigation team will deal with it going forward so that it can be admissible in court. So you're going to find some of the information that perhaps might be admissible in court, some of the things might not be admissible in court. So if you are with me and I record you that you are planning to kill someone without telling you, and that recording might not be admissible in court, but it doesn't take away the fact that you said it, you're going to kill so and so. So I can go and give it to an investigation team and said, you have said with your own words. The team must then find a way of establishing whether did you really kill him, as you said, without using you saying it in court, but use your effort to get the person killed.
But
so
then you get a warrant or you get authority from a magistrate or a judge.
The one who's afraid to sign because he's afraid of the criminal.
The investigating officer goes on affidavit, and you submit the affidavit to the judge or to the magistrate. It's called an ex parte application because the other party, for obvious reasons, is not invited or heard because you suspect that the person is involved in criminal activity. And then the magistrate or the judge, based on what you say on affidavit, they then authorize you to do that. So that's one way of downloading stuff from someone's cell phone. The other way that you mentioned, of course, if you come to me and you accuse me or something, you say, I heard someone said something about you, can I look at your phone? And I say, yes, of course you can look at my phone. Then that's consent, that's different. So it's two ways on which you can get that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we have both ways then that we have done it.
With Mkhwanazi, you got both ways.
With all the syndicates that are part of this.
All right.
Yes, including Mkhwanazi.
So just to come back to just getting back to the 6. Did General Masemola know when he gave you this affidavit that you asked for on the 4th of July, or he gave it to you on the 4th of July? Did he know that that was for the purposes of your media event on the 6th of July?
No, I didn't know.
Did you ask him for permission to have the media event on the 6th of July?
I did not ask for permission, I informed him. I always do media briefing, I don't seek permission, just inform. We notify.
Was that the first time that you had a press briefing?
No, it was not.
What are the other occasions when you had a press briefing involving SAPS?
Oh, there are many press briefings I cannot recall, but there's a lot of them that I've had. I've been in the province for almost 5 years now, so I've had many press briefings in the past.
But that would have been different. That is when you normally, maybe there's a breakthrough or a big investigation or something important to tell the public and the media.
There are many things. There will be disasters, there will be police operations, and there will be events coming, sporting, political events, or whatever major events coming. There are many press briefings we are having over time. I've had many in the province.
Now, in relation to the political killings task team, we know that the only people who had given press briefings or media briefings would have been the Minister of Police on behalf of the Interministerial Committee. Isn't that the case?
That's what used to be, yes.
That used to be the case. So this was an extraordinary event.
It was an extraordinary because even that other one was not a written rule, but it was a practice which was acceptable. So what I did was not breaking any law nor any policy in the organization. Extraordinary because of the extent of the risk that we're facing.
So why would you not have informed the National Commissioner what you intended to do, what you intended to say on the 6th of July?
As I said, sir, in my period as a provincial commissioner in KZN for so many years, I've never had to tell the National Commission I'm going to have a press briefing to tell South Africans about the festive season operation launch. I never had any National Commission in permission to tell me that I should have a press briefing about talking to South Africans about a murder that had happened, multiple murder that had happened in the area and what the police are doing about it. I never had any press briefing about those things. So we'll conduct press briefing as and when we see the need to inform the citizens.
But given what you agree was an extraordinary event, that not even the National Commissioner was aware of what was going to happen at that event, and an event which I think arguably implicates him in the sense that he is the head of this organization that you say is being infiltrated, that is corrupt, and that is involved in organized crime.
Do you think if I gave him, I'm sorry to ask a question, but if I assume, had I gave him the details of what I was going to say and it's going to implicate him, the likelihood is
That's a rhetorical question.
the likelihood
You're going to answer it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If I had told him the details perhaps of what I was going to say, being the head of the organization, the likelihood is that he was going to stop me from having the press briefing.
He may have, because you said earlier in your evidence quite rightly that you take instructions from the National Commissioner. Would it have been an unlawful instruction to tell you, sorry, General Mkhwanazi, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's appropriate for you to have such a press briefing. In fact, I'm quite happy to have a meeting with you right now, given how angry you feel about these matters.
Honorable Chair and members, had I told the National Commission of the details of what I was going to give a presentation on, I do not know what was going to be the response. I assume that had they responded by saying that I should not have a press briefing, I was not going to go ahead. Of course, I was not going to have that press briefing because it's my commander who would have given me instruction. So, but I didn't tell him. I didn't give him the details of what I'm going to be presenting to the public. I just told him that I'm going to give a presentation about the political testing.
And the presentation, I suppose, to put it mildly, caused some consternation because amongst members of the public, because you were also wearing camouflage. You weren't wearing your normal, ordinary police uniform that you would wear as the provincial commissioner. Some of your colleagues, other officers, were also in camouflage and seemed to be sort of wearing a mask to disguise their faces. And one saw, I think, I know nothing about guns, but it looks like something really heavy gun. What was the reason for that, or is that also nothing unusual?
Well, I felt that I was going to take this posture because of the matter I was addressing and the people that are implicated into what I wanted to address. And I've said it before the commission that sometimes we don't necessarily divulge more on what we are doing as a strategy, but we felt that this is the right thing to do at the time, and it's directed specifically to those that are standing in the way of us enforcing the law, which unfortunately they are in a position of authority to stop us. So it was that battle mode that we wanted to display on the day. And I did tell the National Commission I'm going to wear camouflage on the day, and they authorized me to do that.
Did you contact the National Commissioner either on the 6th afterwards or after the 6th? Or did he contact you at all?
When you say contact in relation to what, sir?
Well, in relation to what happened on the 6th, because he wasn't aware that this was going to take place.
Yeah, well, we've been having a lot of discussions after that. I think at one stage I was called to Pretoria I cannot remember the exact dates when I was sanctioned to come to Pretoria. So shortly after that briefing.
What was his reaction or response?
Well, he was shocked, surprised of the content of what I was going to present, but he was well aware of some of the challenges that you're experiencing. So it was not a shock to him to know the extent of the problem. And the mere fact that he had me in the past talking about these things. 6 months is a long time. I started talking about this thing in January this year. When I went to the public, it was in July. So it was a long time since I've been making noise to him about these problems. And everything we are trying fails, everything we're trying fails. And we then had to tell South Africans that perhaps they must know that there is this challenge, and if we cannot overcome this challenge, they're on their own.
So could this have been a reason or the explanation why when in July, I think it was on the 12th of July, Sabia is asking for some more money, some resources for the further work, what used to be done by the PKTT and now is going to be conducted by murder and robbery. So he makes a motivation, and this is now on the basis that PKTT is disbanded or disestablished. And we know now that the National Commissioner turns down that request. Were you aware of that?
The National Commission brought it to my attention because I was not informed about that. I must say, I think it was on the 8th of July, just after my press briefing. It was a team from Jairus Bia's office that made a proposal via his office to the National Commissioner to give them budget so they can travel from Pretoria and come with these 121 dockers to KZN to investigate them. And the National Commission declined that because it was already a political killings task team in KZN. Those dockers should have been kept with the political task team in the first place. So he did not see why were they taken to Pretoria first place, and why then there's a request for an extra budget to send people from Pretoria to KZN to investigate, to arrest someone in KZN to do that.
Were you aware that General Sabia would be suspended, or I think initially there was a stay-at-home order, which was unsuccessfully challenged in the High Court, but subsequently he was suspended by the National Commissioner.
Yeah, well, I only became aware when the National Commissioner came to KZN. I think there was a march in KZN after my press briefing at HOC Park. That's when he made an announcement of the leave of absence. After that, he came to my office because he had to visit KZN. I asked him about this leave of absence. What's this? So we had a brief discussion because I traveled back with him on the day. I flew back to Pretoria with him on the day. I say I flew back with him on the same day.
What's Sabia?
No, the National Commission.
With the National Commission,
Yeah.
Sorry.
So subsequent to that, any disciplinary administrative issues I was not part of, and I'm not expected to be part of because Bia did not report to me, was not accounting to me. So it's between him and the National Commissioner. I cannot comment on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hello. Honorable Chair, can we have a short adjournment? I think I'll be another 45 minutes, an hour. but it would help if I can just literally get my ducks in a row and try and condense that period as far as possible.
Yeah, we are breaking for dinner. And then we are going to come back after an hour. So what it means is that if we break now, we're coming back at 8:30. Yeah. So the request for a break has been granted, honorable members. We are breaking for dinner. We are coming back at 8:30. Thank you.
8:30.
Thank you, Speaker.